Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. My videos are about energy, love, creation, infinity. Because we're infinite love, infinite creation, infinite energy. This is who we are. Why? Because of the human heartbeat. The pulse of life, the pulse of creation. The human heartbeat generates the electromagnetic field that powers the human body. It's like spherical being, our electromagnetic field, resonance coming from the heart, surrounds the human body, and it powers our brains, our organs function as a result of that. So we can think, be conscious, be self-aware, be sentient. This is who we are. This is our nature. We are energy. We are energy. Energy creates life, and this is exactly who we are. We are energy that's been created by life itself. And this is us, life. This is who we are. We are energy. We are creation. Because creation creates creators, and this is who we are. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to jump straight into the video today. So start there with who we are. So our primordial instinct, our instinct to live, to exist, is the human heartbeat. Without it, we wouldn't exist. There wouldn't be human race without the human heartbeat. We all have a heartbeat, all of us. Pulse of life, the pulse of creation. It's just life itself. It's because of it we have a human heart. So this is wonderful because it proves our nature right away, immediately. So we love with our hearts. See, the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation generates the electromagnetic field of life and creation that powers the human body, so we're conscious and self-aware and sentient and intelligent. And what happens as a result of that? We're capable of loving and feeling. And we love with our hearts. You see, love comes from the heart. So then again, full circle. The life, human life, primordial instinct starts with the heartbeat. We are alive as a result of the electromagnetic field generated by the resonance of the heartbeat. And then we can love immediately because we're sentient. And we love with our hearts. And love comes from the heart. And the heartbeat happens in the heart. So it's all connected. We live to love. We live to love. And we love to live. Why? Because once we're alive, we are here to love. Because our heart gives us life and we love with our hearts. And who doesn't want to be happy? Everyone wants to have a purposeful life. Everyone wants to have a fulfilling life. Everyone wants to have a meaningful life. Everyone wants to have a happy life. We live to love and we love to live. Why? Because our primordial instinct is to live, and that's the human heartbeat. So we are alive, we live, we are created by energy, electromagnetic field of the heart. And then we love as a result of that because we love with the heart. It happens at the same place. Love is this energy that can be measured. High frequency, high vibration is the highest vibration, is the highest frequency, the highest resonance that the human heart can emit is that. The pulse of life, the pulse of creation, love itself. Then other emotions are below love in terms of frequency and vibration. So the highest one that the heart can generate is love. It can be measured at the lab with tools and equipment. So then again, energy is creation, and creation is life, and creation is love at the biological scale. So then again, the most powerful creations are those creations that are made with love. It is as simple as that. Love is the most powerful creation. You create the most powerful things when you can with love. If creation is made with love, it's a beautiful, powerful, loving creation. And how can we prove this? Well, very simple. We make love, we have children. Creation itself at the biological scale, the most powerful creation. We're furthering our species, we're replicating ourselves. This is what we're doing, we're reproducing. And this is the most powerful creation, comes from making love, the heart itself. People who love each other come together. Hey, and the egg and the sperm coming together, and then life emerges as a result of that. And then what's our instinct? Well, our instinct is to love our creation. We love our children. It's an instinct, you see, comes from the heart. Just like the heartbeat comes from the heart. So it's all together. We live to love and we love to live. So raise our children, and then the life cycle continues. And then our children can do the same. We have their own hearts, energy, they're created, they are alive. And then they can love and make love and have children and do the same. And that's just the biological scale at that level of reproduction, which is another instinct, the instinct of our species to reproduce, so we can feather ourselves. So it's just all instincts, it's all biology. We live to love and we love to live. Because it's our instinct to love, because of our heartbeat. We're here to love because we live to love. And then we love to live, we want to have a nice life. Our purpose of life is to have a life of purpose. Purposeful life is the pinnacle of life, it's peak experience. Purposeful life is the zenith, it's the apex, it's the summit as a human being. Because a purposeful life is a life of creation. It's a life of creation. Making our dreams come true is because this is who we are. We are compass with sundials. This is who we are. So it's understanding this notion. Loving ourselves so we can love our creations. And then we can love others as a result of it. And we can love others' creations. And this is a full circle again. It's a complete idea. It's a spherical idea. All these motions come together. All these motions come together. All of them come together as one. Infinite love, infinite creation, infinite energy because of the human heartbeat that gives us life in the first place. So we can love, and love is the highest frequency, highest resonance that comes from the human heart. So then again, if you want to create the most powerful things, you use the most powerful energy that we're capable of creating, because we're alive as a result of the human heart in the first place. And that energy is love. It's the love of creation itself, manifested in the biological love that we have for ourselves and for our species and for our creations, our instinct. So then we create with love. We create with love. The most beautiful creations are always made with love. Always. Because this is just the way it is. It's just the way it is. It's our nature. So what does that mean? Well, what's our nature then? If love is what we do, well, that makes us a benevolent species. This is who we are. We are a benevolent species. It's our nature to love. It's our instinct to love. We are heart-based species. We're a love-based species. We're a heartful species. Benevolent species. We're a good species. Highly intelligent, highly evolved. We are highly capable, highly conscious, and highly self-aware. Very sentient, very much so. Because this is all we do. We live to love. So we are sentient as it gets, because love is the answer. Love is what powers us. Love is the key. Unlocks everything, because we create with love, and love is the highest energy, the biological scale. So then again, it's all about love. You see, it's our nature. So what does that mean? Well, we are light spherical beings. This is who we are, just like the sun. The sun is a spherical object with its own electromagnetic field, creating all the beautiful things that the sun creates. I speak about this all the time in my videos. You see, this is pure objective reality. This is natural phenomena observable, and this is repeatable across the board. There's no sun out there that doesn't create. All suns create. All suns are spherical in nature. All suns have their own electromagnetic field. So it's the same with planets. Planets are spherical, and they create as a result of the energy of the sun, which then again, energy is creation, and creation is life. And if you think about it, fundamentally, the earth is teeming with life, is beaming with life. That's what the earth is, and the earth is spherical. And the earth also is a planet and has its own electromagnetic field. And all planets have their own electromagnetic field, and they're all spherical. So then again, this is a pattern of creation itself. You see, life itself is spherical in nature. And then if you think about it at a fundamental level, what does that happen? Well, what are the conditions here on earth? See, they're very complex, very beautiful, but they are simple in the nature. Spherical, polarized, and electromagnetic. So what do we have? Well, we have an atmosphere, we have a biosphere, we have a biome, we have support systems, we have ecosystems supporting human life and all the other biological forms. And then all because of the DNA, you see. And the cell itself and the DNA, they have their own electromagnetic field too. And then it's all electromagnetic, it's all polarized, it's all electrical, it's all energy in the end, because energy is creation and creation is life. You see, creation creates creators. And this is who we are. We are creators. We are infinite eternal creators. We're sundials, we're compass. This is who we are, this is our nature. So let's talk a little bit about today's video then. That's the intro. I just always want to make reference to who we are, light spherical beings, our nature, infinite love, infinite creation, because this is who we are. We are infinite love, infinite creation, infinite energy, because we are spherical and sphere is infinite. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about today's video. It's the first video of the day. The sun's beaming outside. It's a beautiful day. So it's about fantasies and illusions, today's video. Hey, I spoke up, my last video yesterday was heritage and legacy from a Pantheon point of view, the statues. You see monuments, the museum, the leaders and defenders that you identify closely with, humans that lived, that are no longer with us. That's the whole exercise. Humans that are no longer with us, but that they were alive, they were real humans, that they left they had an impact, a long-lasting impact as a result of the heritage and legacy they left behind. And I spoke about them at length, my views and the self-reflection and contemplation that happens as a result of engaging in that exercise. But this is the second part of the exercise. You see, it's the other side. Because heritage and legacy is based on objective reality, things that are real, that actually exist, humans that walk the earth, that were compasses and sundials, they left a legacy and heritage behind. That's why I have them in my Pantheon, my museum, my statues, you see, leaders and defenders of the planet Earth, Republic of planet Earth, all these sundials, all these compasses, with their actions, the purposeful daily actions. They were powerful dreamers, powerful creators. But then there's the other side of the equation, which is the fantasies and illusions. So you can always refer to the visual on y.how/fantasies-illusions. That's y.how/fantasies-illusions. It's on the website and it's on YouTube and Substack. Then again, it's also 20 statutes, just like the previous video. 20 statutes, part of the Pantheon, and it's also for self-reflection, it's also for contemplation, but these are fantasies and illusion, meaning these are not real humans. These are sci-fi, these are fictional characters from movies and comics and from TV shows and from books. Things that we humans have created. You see, we grew up with this anime, you name it. All these different things that we grew up with, games, you name it, anything that's not actual real, but it comes from the human imagination, us the creators, creating these beautiful things. We all have these fictional characters in our lives. So it's the same as the real ones, heritage and legacy, real humans, but these are the fictional ones. The fantasies, the illusions, the ones that are not real, but they're still there. They have an impact. Remember, they still mediums, the media. They're there. So they also have a say, because each one of them, they always represent an archetype. They always represent a theme, an ethos. They're based on humans. They're based on us. They're based on the human race. Because the creators, the artist, the designer, the drawer, whoever created that character, that individual, that fictional role, the actor or the actor, I spoke about it yesterday too, that it was based on human principles, human ideas, human beliefs, human traits, because it was a human that created them in the end. So let's talk about it, and I have 20 statues of them. So I'm gonna tell you who of these ones are mine. And I think it's important to have both sides of the equation here. You wanna have real humans with a real impact in life. And then you also wanna have things that are not human, that are not real, that are fictional, that are based on fiction, that are not real humans, that they're from the movies and the comics and the books and theater and all these different things. Because then again, the books about fantasies and illusions, shattering those, the mediums and media that project them, that cast them, that generates them, that render them, and understanding their value, because fantasies and illusions are part of life, and it's important to understand that they also have something of value to offer us, to teach us lessons. And this is why we want to have things that are not real they to represent that side of the equation, the fantasies and illusions. Once you shatter them with compass, because this is who we are, we shatter fantasies and illusions, we render them obsolete because of energy. You see, we disintegrate all these fantasies and these illusions. Illusions rendering fantasies as a result of the projections, and then we leave them out. So I have spoken about this at length, and I will be speaking about this much more. But they still, they do have a value, and they do, sometimes we identify ourselves with these archetypes. So let's talk about it. So I have chosen 20, just like the real ones. I have chosen 20. So let's start. My first one is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's a Jedi. He's from the Star Wars universe. Hey, a Jedi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. To me, Obi-Wan Kenobi is on the list because Obi-Wan Kenobi is the greatest Jedi. He's the greatest Jedi. In fact, to me, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the reason why the whole movie is actually the whole story, the whole narrative of the storyline of Star Wars from its inception cannot work as it does through the episodes and the sequence and the prequels and all these different trilogies, the 9 movies and all that, and all the movies in between that came as a result, and all the TV shows and the series that are happening as a result of it. All these story, the Star Wars universe, all these beautiful creation that we have come up with, George Lucas and now Disney and all that, that wouldn't be able to exist and click the way it does if it wasn't because of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Obi-Wan Kenobi archetype and his role and what he represents. So that's why Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's like the event horizon he's like the epicenter, he's like the vortex. He's like the singularity of this universe of Star Wars, because without him, nothing would be actually possible as the way the creator, the visioner, realized it in the end. And this is why he's on the list. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit of why. The reason as to why is because Obi-Wan Kenobi, this master Jedi, a powerful Jedi, he was the master of Anakin Skywalker. And as we know, Anakin Skywalker was supposed to be bring balance to the Force. He was this he had the highest count of this organism that Jedis have, which is what the Force is or comes from or something like that. So I don't remember the name of it. It's a weird name, but it's a thing. All Star Wars fans out there know what the name is. It's just, excuse me, I'm a big fan of it, but right now it skips my mind. So essentially, Obi-Wan was an extremely humble Jedi, hummus as he gets. And he became the master of this youngling, this Padawan, who was supposed to bring balance to the Force. Who was supposed to, there was a prophecy about this advergence. The Force would create this powerful being that would just become imbalanced to the equation and all that. So it's this notion. Right away, you see balance to the equation. You see the epicenter of the universe of Star Wars comes as a result of that. And who's the one that mentors, who's the one that teaches this individual is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the master. And it wasn't something that he thought. That this happens as a result of a series of events that were uneventful and they were mistakes, and things happen because it was Obi-Wan Kenobi's master who was supposed to be training this youngling, this Padawan, but things happen in the way they do in the world of it. And then because he felt that Obi-Wan Kenobi was ready to become a Jedi, a master Jedi, like a proper knight. And then things happened the way they did, and then it was Obi-Wan in the end who ended up, taking the reins and becoming the master of this Padawan. And who is this Padawan? Well, this Padawan is the reason why Star Wars actually came up as a concept in the first place, because he actually ended up not being who the prophecy, the prophets and all these, they had this idea of this human, this Jedi or whatever, that would bring balance to the Force. And in fact, he did the opposite. He brought chaos, destruction, and all sorts of problems. And obviously, he turned out to become Darth Vader and this negative force that was the opposite of what he was supposed to do. But in the end, because of the central role, actually, life came out of him. Love. The love of role in Star Wars is the theme, is huge. So then, of course, two children came out of it, Leia and Luke. And they were actually the ones that brought order. They brought balance to the Force. These twins brought balance. No, it wasn't the father. The father was just a bad egg. But the children were the ones that ended up in the end bringing balance to the equation, as a result of this beautiful theme that Star Wars, this beautiful thing. And it's Obi-Wan. You see, Obi-Wan was so humble that actually taught Anakin, and Anakin became a powerful warrior because of Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan was able to guide this Sith and try to rein him and keep him, on check. And that's what he did. Obi-Wan always defeated Anakin, always. In fact, he beat it to almost nothing. I mean, when he turned into Darth Vader, he was nothing. He was just absolutely defeated. And then he was just saved by his new master in the end, that eventually turned out to just be another loser like him. So, but it's all this notion, and Obi-Wan was always there. You see, that was early in the life of Obi-Wan when he trained Anakin, and then he defeated Anakin. Anakin became a monster, Darth Vader, and he already was a monster, but he wasn't human anymore because his humanity was taken away from him by the defeat that Obi-Wan gave him. This humble pie, like Obi-Wan really defeated him, but because of the love of Obi-Wan, he didn't kill him in the end. He let him live, thinking that it was over, but in the end he survived, but then became this monster, this creature. So a destructive force. But then the children were already there, and then the lifeline starts. And Obi-Wan was very young when he managed to defeat Anakin the way he did. Total destruction of Anakin. And you see, Anakin was supposed to be the most powerful Jedi, and then Obi-Wan always proved him wrong. Obi-Wan being the actual greatest Jedi, and as a a very humble master, very humble man. Obi-Wan was a general. Obi-Wan was an incredible strategist and a very humble man. Very humble, very Hamas, a very Hamas man. So if you understand this, then at a later stage when things happen, the twins are raised, and the development of it happens, Obi-Wan's still alive, you see, and he finishes the job. He comes full circle, and then he fights this entity Vader many times during the process of the children growing. And then every time they meet, Obi-Wan beats him again. And and then eventually the children grow, and then he trains Luke Skywalker, Anakin's kid. And then he becomes a mighty, super powerful Jedi, more powerful than his father. And who was the trainer? Who was the master of Luke? It was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi was the master in Tatooine. And in fact, Obi-Wan Kenobi looked after him his whole life because Luke was raised in Tatooine by the family of Anakin and stuff, because Anakin came from Tatooine in the first place. His uncles, I think, and aunties raised him. And then again, Obi-Wan was always around Luke when Luke was growing up. You see humbleness then again, being humble, patient, being there, just protecting the child, loving the child from a distance. Hey, very humble man, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then obviously if you think about it, then he became a man, Luke. And then when Luke was ready, then Obi-Wan showed up and taught him about the Force, taught him about who he was, his role and his purpose. I mean, it was a powerful, the archetype of Obi-Wan Kenobi is the most powerful archetype there is, because it is the ultimate creator, a Hamas creator who uses his compass very wisely. It's a sundial himself, very selfless individual that loves with his heart and creates the most beautiful things. And this is who Obi-Wan was. Obi-Wan was this example, this role model, this leader that did what he did, and then Luke ended up destroying all this stuff, all the bodies out there. And he did that with his twin sister Leia, and Leia in the end and Luke ended up, continuing the process. They continued the process the way they did. And there's a bit where Obi-Wan in the end, he's a very old man, but Luke was ready and all that. He was faced by Vader, but because Jedis never die, they just transcend, they become energy, light spherical beings. In the actual thing, they become it, they never die, they are forever. They're just like us humans, because we are energy in the end. So he faced Vader, and then just to prove a point, he allowed Vader to think that he was gonna kill him, but in reality he just became energy in the end. So Vader couldn't really do anything, because he was a thief, he was a bad guy, really bad guy, very trouble, driven by his shadow and unconscious, and anger and fear and all these low vibrations. So then again, that's who Obi-Wan was. And then obviously Luke, what did Luke do in the end? Well, Luke became this powerful master with his sister, and they brought balance back to the Force together, thanks to Obi-Wan and what Obi-Wan did. And then if you think about it fundamentally, then, at the later stages, Obi-Wan was already transcended into light, spherical being, and he was already still as a guardian, always in constant communication with Leia, and always in constant communication with Luke, even with Anakin after he, because in the end, Anakin also, like his true self, turned into light spherical being in the end. When with love he forgave himself and accepted his son when his son killed him, Luke. So you see, and then Anakin kind of went back and said, "Hey, Obi-Wan, I'm sorry." So if you think about it from that point of view, then again Obi-Wan is this central figure, and then at a later stage there's this beautiful character in the universe, Rey. She's a powerful Jedi, probably the mightiest of them all in terms of the ability that she had. Who was she trained by? She was trained by Luke, and she was trained by Leia. And who trained Leia and Luke? Obi-Wan Kenobi. You see, the master in the end, always connecting the dots throughout the entire sequence. And then Rey became this amazing Jedi. She became Rey Skywalker in the end, and she's like the most powerful, the most badass Jedi that there is. And it was all because of Obi-Wan. All because of Obi-Wan. So I don't know what's gonna be the future of Rey. I'm sure there will be new movies in the future, because she's young and she's powerful and intelligent. But Rey Skywalker is actually, she also from Tatooine, I think. or maybe not, from a different planet, but her roots is there. She left the lightsabers there of Leia and Luke and stuff, honoring them, the heritage, the legacy. But then again, you see, it's Obi-Wan, and all because of his humility. He was a humble man, very humble man, Hamas, and powerful, like spherical being, creator, compass, a sundial. So this is Obi-Wan, and this is why Obi-Wan, I believe, is the greatest Jedi, because of all the things that he's done, his humility and his power. So okay, so that's Obi-Wan. You see the power that then again we can contemplate and reflect and go back to situations like this. Hey, and then you see it's not real. Obi-Wan is not a real person. But then again, it teaches us a lot of lessons, so you can always go and reflect in your Pantheon, your statues, and understand. And in my case, I have meditations with Obi-Wan, and I ask Obi-Wan in my if I have a question, and Obi-Wan would always give me an answer that's very Obi-Wan Kenobi answer, because of what he's done. His actions speak for himself. So then again, there's a role in fantasies and illusions. Once you integrate them and you disintegrate them and you shatter them, because you understand the experience and the value out of them. They're not real, but they also teach us lessons. So that's why there's a value in them. Okay, so let's talk about the second one. The second one is Django. Django is this character. He's a character. He comes from a very tough time. He was a slave, unfortunately. But then he freed himself. You see, he freed himself, and he did that all out of love. Because in reality, what he wanted was to free his missus, his wife. And he did what he did for the love of his missus, his wife. And he freed her in the end, and they have this beautiful life in the end as free folk. But it started, it's the story of this man, this cowboy, this Western American cowboy who essentially fought for freedom, and he did it out of love, because freedom is love. Everything is love, but freedom is part of love in a big way, because we are free to love in the end. They all come hand in hand. And he did all he did. He did incredible things in a funny way. He was a very skillful man, very powerful, fearless, brave as he gets, courageous, toughing it out, and lots of adversity. And he did that in the name of love, in the name of freedom, his missus, very strong convictions. And he did that, very powerful man, Django. And he's a funny one too. There's a movie out, and the actor that does it is an incredible actor, a very funny actor, very talented. And you should watch it if you have a chance. Django. It's an incredible role, incredible archetype, what Django represents. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. You see, I spoke a long time about Obi-Wan Kenobi, because Obi-Wan Kenobi is just an incredible archetype. It represents so much. Now, let's talk about Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk from the Star Trek universe. He's on my list. And the reason why Mr. Kirk is on my list is because he always followed his heart. He followed his heart. And he was very brilliant, very intelligent, funny as well. But he always followed his heart. He followed his heart. And that led him to massive and serious disagreements with authority and characters that were above him that weren't necessarily good. A lot of them were bad. But he always followed his heart and listened to his inner voice and did what he thought was right. And in the end, because he's Captain Kirk, he ended up getting the upside of it, the upper hand. Why? Because he listened to his heart. It was full of love. He's a loving captain. Captain Kirk is a loving human being. And he loves with all his heart. And everything that he does comes from his heart. And his actions are always for the greater good. Always. And that's why he's on the list, because he represents that. Follow your heart and do what your heart says, no matter what others say and no matter the odds. And in the end, you would always triumph. And That's exactly what he represents. And he's the greatest example out there that I have on my list when it comes to hunches and following your hunch and listening to your inner voice and sticking to it and having a heart that's big and powerful. So that's Mr. Kirk, Captain Kirk. And he's quite young, when he starts the whole lot and then he achieves a lot. He's incredible. Captain Kirk is an incredible archetype. Then next to him I have Enda. Enda is this genius. He's a young kid, a teenager, barely 15, might be 13 or something. He's just a young kid, but he's a super genius. He's a super genius. He's a mathematical master. He understands things at a level. He's geometric. He's spherical thinker. He's ahead of everyone, and he knows it, and everyone knows it, and everyone hates him for it because they're jealous of him, who he is, and what he does, because he's a super genius. He's a super genius, just an incredible genius. He's just like the greatest genius in the universe of where he comes from, because it's a troubled time. The human race is fighting this ugly race that's trying to enslave humanity, insects and some crazy stuff like that. And as the name suggests, ended it all. He was an ender. He just showed up to end things. He ended things. He just showed up at the right time, ended it. It ended the party. It's a party pooper for the bad guys. A party pooper. Showed up at the right time against all the odds and ended it all. So humanity could thrive and live a beautiful, peaceful life as a result of it, because there was no more baddies out there wanting to do bad things to humanity. So Enda showed up as a child and proved them wrong with his spherical thinking and ended them all because he was Enda. And he did that all in a most humble way. He didn't know what he was doing, He didn't know that he was being played up by all the adults, all the other humans that were like obviously aware of how intelligent Enda was and his genius. But still, he was a kid, He didn't know that he was being manipulated and used by all these folks out there, these older humans that were afraid of these insects and needed help. So they manipulated Enda and his genius and his love for creation just to destroy the other folks, and Enda didn't even know. So Enda thought it was a game. The whole thing, he always thought the thing was a simulation, a game, an emulator. But in the end, he was actually fighting real wars and real fights. So this is why it's powerful, because it was his innocence, his love, his childish mind, genius, pure genius. But in the end, it was his innocence that ended it all. His love for humankind, and his love for play, and his love for infinity. His super genius, spherical thinker, geometric. He would always take the course of action that everyone thought was crazy, just like Captain Kirk. No one would understand him, and then he would turn out to be right in the end because he was geometric in thinking, and he was just ahead because he was an infinite thinker. Because he saw the answer always in a way that no one would, because everyone was thinking linearly when he was thinking in a geometric manner, an infinite manner, equifinality. And then obviously he got the upper hand in the end. And in the end, because he saves the human race and does what he does, at a very young age, he becomes like the most powerful human and stuff. And he's just a humble kid, A most powerful guy becomes this admiral of the fleet of humanity. It was some big deal. And he's just like 13 years old. And he didn't know that he did that in the end. When he finds out, he's like, "You guys pulling my leg, and then, "No, we're not. Thank you." And then, what does he do? The most humble thing. Imagine it. Hamas. That's why he was who he was. He ends up giving this race of insects an opportunity. Because the insects, they realized that Enda didn't know he had a good heart. And then Enda becomes the most powerful human. So the survivors of this species, like like the royal god and all that, they had a queen and stuff, like the surviving queen of it, because insects operate in that. They have hives and things, and for the most part, not all, but it's part of it, the nature. So they showed up. Hey, the queen god shows up in the end and says, hey, Enda, look, I know that you didn't know, but we know who you are, and you're the most powerful human and the smartest by far. Can you please save our race? And then he has this human heart. Hey, love, and then he cries and he forgives himself because he didn't know that he did what he did. So he apologizes to them for the utter destruction. And then they say, this is why we are here. Say, actually, we are begging you to help us. And then they give him the queen, like the larva of the queen. And then Enda goes, because he's the most powerful human, and finds a safe planet for them to actually rekindle and start the civilization. You see, Enda is a powerful creator. He destroys and creates. And all out of love, because he didn't know he was doing it that's why he managed it in the end, because of his nature and his heart. I don't think he would have ever done what he did in the beginning if he knew what he was doing. So yeah, so that's Enda. Enda is an Enda. He's amazing. Then I got right next to him, I have Maverick. Maverick comes from this movie, Top Gun. Maverick is an incredible leader. He's this human, free spirit. He has a big heart. He's very humble, and his pursuit was always about he's fearless. Hey, he's fearless, and he does what no one else does, and he does it because he believes in his heart that that's the right thing to do. And later in his life, he becomes a leader and a master. You see, he could have, because of his resume and his achievements, his accomplishments, he could have become like an admiral of the fleet. He could have been just like Enda. But because he loves what he does, he's purposeful, he decides to remain as a captain. He never, just like Kirk always wants to be a captain. He never wants to be promoted because he loves it. So that's what Maverick is. Maverick never wanted to go beyond captain. He always wanted to just fly because of his purpose. His purpose was to fly, and he loved it, and he loves it because still alive, and he just does that, and he becomes this guy who was Admiralty age, like Top Gun type of level, like the fleet would be under his command, and he was still a captain out there training the younglings, training all the new the crew, everyone, and he was this like hero. He was like a hero in this alternate reality, this movie, this thing, because of who he was. He was an example. Everyone knew who he was. And in the end, he becomes the savior again, because he's always the savior. He saves everyone's ass, always. So, because of who he is. So that's why he's on the list, because he's humble, he follows his heart, he has a purpose, and a big heart. He has a big heart. So that's Maverick. And then again, that name Maverick, it's a beautiful name, a Maverick. We all know who a Maverick is. He's a trailblazer. Someone who does something that no one else willing to do, dares to do, proves everyone wrong, a dreamer, a dream maker. So this is who this fella is, Maverick. So that's why he's on the list. So then I have someone else. His name is Seiya. Seiya comes from this anime called Saint Seiya, or Knights of the Zodiac. It's a Japanese anime. There's a manga about it too, but it's an anime, and it's this teenager. Really, it's a teenager, a little bit older than Enda, a little bit older, maybe 15, 16, underage, who had the biggest heart, and he became the super powerful knight, super powerful warrior with he awoken many senses, and in this universe you can awake senses beyond the fifth sense. So the sixth sense, seventh sense, eighth sense. So he took it to infinity. He took to the highest sense that you can as a human. And then because it's about myth and about like the Greek gods and things, he became more powerful than gods. He defeated gods. He defeated Hades. He defeated all the gods of Hades. He went to the Mount Olympus and defeated all the fellas out there as well, including Zeus, everybody. And then he did that to Poseidon as well. This kid, humbleness, Hamas, and all out of love, he loved this Saori, which this woman, and she was a goddess, and he was in love with her. So it was all out of the love for this woman. You see, it's always about love. And then he did what he did, and they call him Cosmos. It's like the energy that they have, and he reached his cosmos to infinity every time that he defeated someone that was powerful. That's why he's on the list, because he's a powerful warrior. And he has this archetype. He represents Pegasus. Pegasus is this mythological creature that represents transcendence. It's always about reaching to the skies and doing things that are feats that are supposed to be impossible. And he represented that archetype, and that's what he does impossible feats. And he makes them true with his love, because he believes in infinity, and every time that he's gonna like do an attack, he says, I'm raising my cosmos to infinity. So you see, he was an infinite thinker. He was a spherical thinker, this kid, Seiya. But smart, very smart teenager. Okay, so right next to him, I have Lara Croft, a crafty Lara Croft. Very smart. She is a beautiful character. She represents so much. She's an explorer, a discoverer, a treasure hunter. Incredible. Her archetype is beautiful. She is clear about her purpose. It's all about the love for her father. Always her father, daughter, all she knows. And she loves her father with all her heart. So all she does is because of her father. So it's the love again. It's the theme of love. As you notice, all these fellas here, all the fellas on this list are loving, because their characters never die. So they are forever. They're infinite. They're all loving. Obi-Wan loving. Django loving. Kirk very much loving. Enda, biggest lover out there. Maverick, big lover. Seiya, big lover. Lara Croft, big lover. It's all about the love for her father. Always. And she does incredible things. She's a badass. She's very brave, very courageous, and extremely intelligent and crafty. The things that she does, she defies the odds, and she does things that are unheard of and unthinkable, And she's powerful, extremely powerful woman. That's why she's on my list, because she's an incredible human. And I wish I would make someone like Lara Croft. Yeah, so she's amazing. Okay, the next one is Tyrion. I don't know if you guys know much about Game of Thrones. I like Game of Thrones. It's a beautiful universe. It teaches a lot about human nature. And Tyrion is Tyrion Lannister. It's known as the Imp. He's the most powerful and smartest Lannister. And he's hated by all because he's a midget. No one likes him because at birth, unfortunately, his mama died. And everyone blames him for it, and because it's a medieval times theme, everyone doesn't like him. But they keep him alive because he was a Lannister, and the Lannisters were like the most powerful family in terms of wealth and all the things, influence. They're very powerful, the lions and all that. They are powerful, the Lannisters. And they're all beautiful, the Lannisters, if you really understand what they meant. What they meant when they did what they did. It was all about family in the end. It was all about love. but they just went about it their own way, a medieval times way. So, but then Tyrion was this character that came out of this power struggle. He came out of this. He was a survivor. He was a fighter. He was a little creature. Unfortunately, he was deformed, but that doesn't mean, you see, then again, you have all these things that are against you. Hey, you're defied and challenged because you don't have the normal advantages that a normal human has. And then in the end, you use that as your superpower. And Tyrion become the most powerful, the smartest of them all, with all his limitations. You see, the power of the human heart, the power of the human mind, that there's no limits. That's why he's on my list, because he proves that no matter who you are and your limitations, how unfortunate they are, you can still become the smartest and the most powerful. And this is who Tyrion is. Tyrion, the smartest and the most powerful. You see, the most powerful, and he survives them all. He outlives everybody. He outlives everybody in treacherous times and dangerous times, and he pretty much, in the end, he does everything that he wanted without really wanting it, because he didn't want it in the end. He didn't want it. He was so humble in the end because he knew so much. He was so smart that he didn't really want to be part of it anymore. But because of it, that's the reason why, because of how wise he was, how intelligent, how smart, how brilliant, how powerful, how humble. That's why everyone in the end says, no, you gotta be the one, because exactly that, because you don't want it. And then he, reluctantly really takes it. And then he becomes the Hand of the King, which is the most powerful role in this, because the king is always like this, it's just like a cap, it's a hat. The king has no power. It's the hand and everyone around it with the power. So it's just a figure. So he becomes the Hand of the King again in the end of this kingdom and stuff. Because of all that happened. If you know Game of Thrones, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But Tyrion becomes this mighty figure, that it resembles all these archetypes of human nature. And in the end, he was just this kid, He was just a loving kid in the end. All the things that he did were because of love. That's why he's on the list, because he's an absolute genius. Tyrion, as you can see, is a true genius. And it's proof that you have all the disadvantages, physical disadvantages, and then you can still become the smartest in the room and the most powerful one. So kudos to Tyrion, because Tyrion is always going to be on my list because of, what he represents. He represents an incredible archetype, and it's all about, with him, was always about love. He was a lover, a dreamer, and then that's why he ended up where he ended up, because of love. In the end, it was love that allowed him to always listen to his heart and make the right call in the end. So that's why Tyrion is there. So right next to Tyrion is Link. Link is from this universe, Zelda. It's a Nintendo thing. Beautiful. He's a Japanese invention. There's a lot of Japanese inventions on my list, because the Japanese are incredible inventors, incredible creators, incredible thinkers. I love that culture a lot. Then Link is right there. Link is this kid. Really, he is a kid. We're talking 11. He's younger than Enda. He's a child, actually. It might be 10. A child. We're talking a child here. And this child becomes the savior of everything. This child eventually grows and becomes like a teenager because he was like 10 when everything got started. It was just a little child, probably younger than 10. And then back forwards and he's like 19 or 17, still like underage, and then he's in the end that's when he's an adult in that world, and then he's a badass and does what he does. So the reason why he's on the list is because he's brave and he's courageous. He listens to his heart, and he does what no one does because he follows his heart. He follows his heart and he does courageous things. He's a brave heart, truly brave. And he achieves the impossible. He defeats evil many times. That's what the whole theme of this universe, Zelda, it's about. Him defeating evil every time. And he's beautiful. He's beautiful. Link is an incredible character. He represents so many archetypes of the human race. And that's why he's on the list. Because he's humble, very humble, and he doesn't know who he is in a way. He knows, and that's why he becomes who he becomes. It's just like Enda. Enda didn't know what he was doing. And that's why he was able to do it. And same with Link. He never knows what he's really doing. He's just listening to his heart and follows his heart because he's all about purity and love and courageous and bravery. And that's what he does. He's pure love. He's pure love, just like Enda. He's just pure love. And because of that, he does what he does and achieves what he achieves because of the human heart. This child, Link. Okay, so that's Link. And then he's a genius too. He's super crafty. The things that he does, I mean, amazing. You guys, if you don't know, Zelda is the original game from Nintendo 64. Zelda and the Ocarina of Time. It's the greatest game ever. I've got awards and all sorts to prove it. It's the greatest RPG game in human history. And Link is the character of that game. It's amazing. Link is incredible. Okay, so right next to him, I got Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is from the universe of Green Lantern. He's from the DC universe. Green Lantern is like the latest Green Lantern because, and this is exactly why he's on the list, Mr. Stewart, because he's all about love, bravery, heart, courage, doing the right thing, the greater good. That's who he was. That's why he was chosen by the ring, because of his heart. Because the ring chooses a brave heart, a courageous heart, incorruptible heart, and that's what the ring does. In the universe of Green Lantern, it's about rings. It's like ring of power, and the ring chooses the carrier, the holder of the ring, and it chooses. It could be anything. Normally in this universe, no human was ever chosen. But the one that was chosen was the predecessor of John, because John is not the first human to carry the ring of power in this universe of Green Lantern and stuff. There was another human first before him, but this human turned out to be just like Anakin Skywalker, an evil guy. He was corrupted by fear, which is the opposite. So Green Lantern is about imagination and creation. It's like love. It represents love and creation. And then the opposite force is fear, which is a yellow fear, a yellow ring. So they're battling across infinity, these two forces, the green ring and the yellow ring, and the energy that comes out of it. One is fear and one is love, and they're fighting it out. So this other guy, before John, he was a human, the first human to ever carry a ring. So it was a big deal because no one wanted humans to carry them in that universe because they're all like aliens and extraterrestrials and from different planets in the universe and stuff. So no one wanted a human because they thought humans were primitive and violent and all that. But they turned out to be right in the end with this fella, with the first carrier that was chosen by the ring. But the funny thing is that the ring chose him because the ring was madder than everyone else. Because this ring, and the reason why they were pesky about it was because this ring was the ring of like the leader of the Green Lanterns, of all the Green Lanterns. So, I mean, our leader is going to be a human. He's the first human, and we don't know about this race. They're kind of primitive, a little bit too violent, volatile. And our leader will be a guy from that place? Oh, because the ring chose him. But the ring was mad. The ring chose him because the ring knew that then Jon Stewart would come along, which is the actual big ass, the one that I got on the list here. So the big deal, the papa, he's the man. And then because of it, the ring chose this fella because they knew that the ring would eventually, the ring itself, love, energy, creation itself, knew that eventually it would go to Jon Stewart. So it went to this fella, this human, just like Anakin, and that he was a trouble man, and then he was essentially in the end corrupted by the fear and he was powerful though. He joined the two rings of power, like he got the fear and the love together and became a super powerful creature, this human. But then Jon, the ring itself chose him, and then he went and beat the shit out of this other human, this bad guy that was doing these bad things, the first carrier. And then he became this super powerful, and now everyone, because of what he did, because he saved the Green Lantern universe and all that, Jon, humble as he gets, does what he does. Then everyone starts to realize that Jon is like the most powerful one of them all and all that. And then again, it's because of his love, because he was absolutely selfless, super humble. He didn't even understand what was happening when it happened, but his bravery and his courage allowed him to defeat this evil guy that was destroying everything, just like Anakin and what he was doing. And then he shows up at the right time because the ring always knew that that was the way it was going to go anyway. And then he becomes who he becomes, this super powerful, humble, very humble leader without wanting to be one, but he ends up being the leader. And then that's it. And that's it. So that's Jon Stewart. That's why he's on the list, because he's an absolute genius. Okay, so then I got Neo here as next one. Neo from the Matrix, the movie. Neo, we all know who Neo is. If you know the Matrix, he's the chosen one. He's a powerful creator. He essentially defies all the odds and he does incredible things. And we know that he's like a really powerful person. And then again, Neo is a genius. Neo, is just a genius, a computational genius. He just doesn't know who he truly is. And then that's why he's chosen, because the chosen one is that the one, there was a prophecy in this world and all that, and then he's chosen, and then he's just incredible. Neo is incredible, and the things that Neo does, he saves humanity, he saves the human race in the end, against the fight against the machines and all this crazy stuff. So Neo is that. Neo represents that. Neo represents your human heart, because he's all about love too. Neo is all about love. Neo is all about love too. It's love that guides him, and that's why he's the chosen one, because he's humble. He doesn't want it.